Morning, Steve. How are you?
Fantastic. Happy New Year, Dan.
Happy New Year to you. This is what happens when you get old. You are able to wake up in the morning and on New Year's Day and do a live stream. Did you make it to midnight last night?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was working.
Oh, working. The life of a freelancer.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I went to two parties, which is amazing for me.
Wow.
In the neighborhood, I'm like the elusive unicorn in the neighborhood. Everybody, because Katie goes to every function. And everyone wants to know where her husband is. But I'm kind of a recluse, so I like staying home and doing nothing. So, well, working. Um, oh, volume. Sorry about that. And so anyway, two parties, but I was home before midnight, and we tricked my daughter into believing that midnight happened at 10:35. So
It did somewhere, middle of the
yeah.
Atlantic.
so so yeah, we got 22 behind us, and we're looking forward to 2023, a creative year. First off, 2022 was great for you.
Yeah,
Intoximancy.
yeah. On
Wow.
balance, it was weird spending time over the holidays with family, and everyone was like, couldn't wait to see 2022 go away. And if sure, I mean, I was hit with two hurricanes. I had a ton of other stuff that happened. It wasn't like all, you know, sunshine and rainbows, but it was. But on balance, a great year for me. I mean, especially in the TTRPG space, moving into an area I've loved forever, but have never planted a flag in that space. And I guess that's planting a flag is probably a bad phrase nowadays. Um, I never dipped a toe in that space before, and uh,
look how conscious we are after our last guest give
yeah,
spread.
I try to be conscious all the time, but there's so many phrases that you just have that have just loaded with baggage.
Yeah.
Until I'm sure at some point, having baggage is going to be a problem. Uh, but that's good. That's language should evolve and be better and communicate to more people. But anyway, dipping my toe into the TTRPG space was just huge, and these arrived just before Christmas. My Intoximancy book, you could see the little UV coating on the bottles as they glisten in the light, um, and our pink elephants catching the ring light above my camera. Um, very happy with how it came out. Um, the hardcover books were supposed to arrive before Christmas. They have not. And then they were pushed back to between Christmas and New Year's, and they have not. I called them the printer on Friday. Thankfully, they still had office hours, and I got an update. They'll ship next week, allegedly. So we'll see. So the hardcovers haven't been in yet. I just locked addresses, and so my Kickstarter, the one we talked about here on the show, will ship uh, starting on Tuesday when the post office opens again.
Nice. I was about ready to start sending out surveys for mine this morning.
Oh, great!
Um,
A nice way to start the year.
yeah, but then I figured out I got to do this with you, so I ran out of time. So hopefully I'll get back to that and get those surveys out today. So my put my Kickstarter first one, the Zine Quest, to bed. Hopefully within this week or so, as far as the digital deliveries go. Just as you mentioned, delays with your printing of some of your books. Printing's always a question mark, but
Yeah, yeah. But I'm super happy with how this is my first time working with this printer, and it all turned out great. It
it
all
looks gorgeous. Yeah.
the one thing I want to do next time is I think I might rearrange the layout of the book a bit so that because it's a zine and it's saddle stitched, it'll automatically tend to fold to the middle. I think I want to prioritize some sort of stat sheet or something that um, something you want to reference often in the middle of the book. Having the spells there is fine, but it's not the sort of thing you'd reference like the flagons as they level up, or it seems like something more referential
Yeah,
should
you
be.
can just put a series of tables or something in there if
Yeah,
need be. And yeah, I was looking at printing, and because I think I'm going to just go with just using like the drive-through RPG
awesome.
option. So that means no saddle stitch. They don't do saddle stitch anymore.
Oh well, so it's
Um,
all perfect bound.
yeah, that won't happen with Oddity Off Print. Oddity Off Print, I can manage the saddle stitch and do that easily. you know, because we're, I don't have huge amounts to do, so that's not a big problem. I can
How
get
many
those.
pages was it? Or is it?
It's not that big. I kept growing and moving, and I'm still finalizing artwork and moving things around.
Sure.
So, what I think it was maybe 16 pages.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I thought it was going to be like 8 because it was the 5 creatures. I wasn't sure how you were going to lay it out.
Well, it's a smaller size, 8.5 by 5.5. So each monster will take 2 to 3 pages.
Cool.
Because I want to show off that Steve Musgrave's artwork as much as possible.
That's great.
So it'll be a stat block art, and then all my lore. So it's just juggling around. I got I added a sentence here. So I'm still, like I said, the surveys are going to go out, but I'm still trying to find a tweak it because I wanted to do them in alphabetical order.
Right.
But some are meatier than others, so I just got to keep moving them around. So
yeah, I'm kind of a jerk. I had the spells in alphabetical order, but at some point, I wanted to have thinking of the PDF. I thought it was more important that the spells be as self-contained per page as possible.
Yeah.
So that you weren't referencing 2 different pages on the PDF. So things got out of alphabetical order, and it pains me a little bit, but I feel like for the PDF people, they'll be happy.
That's what I'm wrestling. And I believe that the PDF, the digital version, won't be that many pages because I'm going to just condense it in a bigger page type of thing.
That's smart.
Just so it's, if people print it out, it's not, they're not printing out these little 8.5 by 11 or 8.5 by 5.5 inch pages on 8.5 by 11 paper. Right. Yeah. So it's more formatted just for ease of use and tablet reading. So anyway, so I got that going, and since we're talking about the zine quest, the next zine quest starts in February. That's what I was working on yesterday. That's what I spent my New Year's Eve day working on.
You sent me a little something. You sent me a little. How much do you feel like talking about it? How do you want to?
Well, let's just say there's a project in the works for Zine Quest. It's not Catacombs and Comedians related. Okay. It's its own separate tabletop fantasy role-playing game with its own set of rules. But it's going to be, I think I'm aiming for 42 pages.
Wow. Cool.
So 44 with the cover.
That's great.
And it's a new system that I did make up. And it took months to figure it out, but I think I got it down. And it's going to, I'm thinking, so what I did is I slapped together a page for, the Kickstarter.
Oh, wow.
Just so I can try to get it, hopefully not, it's automated enough. We're like, oh yeah, you're okay. You've done one before, but I haven't been approved yet because I want to get that landing page in so I can start promoting it ASAP.
Perfect.
So yeah, so I'll explain more, later, but the completion date that I want to get the product out is April 20th. So we'll leave it at that.
Genius. So that's the date you send the PDFs to people? Is that the plan?
Yeah.
That's how I feel about, like, I can control when the PDFs go out. I don't know when I'll get the books back from the printer. I don't know when the post office will deliver it, but at least I can say, okay, on this date, everyone's going to get an email. And it's the thing where I forgot a stat block. I'm not a stat block. I in my initial PDF thing, I didn't include the spell save DC for a monster's ability. And somebody said, hey, where's that? It's missing a thing. What do I have to roll to get this thing to make this work? Thank you, my readers, so much. Oh boy. So I was able to update the PDF later on. So I feel like that's, you and I are, I think the projects are done when people tear it from our hands, Yeah. So the idea that we can update the PDF is kind of a nice thing.
Yeah, it kind of makes it an ever-growing property or project. So
that's great.
So I'm already working on that. So tell me right now where to click to see your launch page for your.
No, it's not ready. I will announce it on the show. I think I have it ready on the 15th. So not next week, but 2 weeks from now. I'm hoping that means I have to have it to them by like the earlier that week so that they can approve it and it might be live. I'm going to do a rogue subclass. It's going to be very similar in every way to this, not in terms of intoxication, but in terms of formatting. It's going to be, I don't know, this project grew to this size, so I don't know if the next book would be this thick.
Yeah,
But
you have to now.
what's that?
You have to.
It'd be great if people jump on board. It'd be great if people who like this get the next one. I do think it can hit its goal easier in that offering this along with the new project means that the pledges will be a little higher. Because they'll be, instead of just being the $5 tier for the PDF, there'll be a $10 tier. There'll be the $5 tier for the new one, and then 10 for the two of them together. And I feel like I can include things like reviews for this in the next one. People have said this about my past, so I'm hoping those things piggyback. And I'm going to have the cover done by the time I submit it to Kickstarter. Unlike this thing, I found all my graphics for my initial thing that I submitted to Kickstarter. It looks nothing like this.
Right.
It's that walking mug dude on the cover of it. Basically, this is what I thought the cover would look like when it was going to be before everybody jumped on board and I had to make it look like that. Yeah, I'm excited, but it'll be a rogue subclass. And while I was working on it, I came up with the idea for the one after it. And it's better than Intoximancy. It's better than the one I'm working on. I feel terrible that the rogue one is not as good as what book number 3 will be. Book 3 is going to be crazy good.
So book 3 will be your Empire Strikes Back instead of book 2.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Oh, you'll have to tell me off air what you're cooking. Yeah, that little image that I sent you, just sort of like a little mascot image. I bought some icons and manipulated them. Changed them around, and I even changed it a little bit. I made a let's just say I made the eyes a little droopier.
Excellent. It's great. It is great. Your buttons are done. Your stickers are done.
Yeah.
It's great.
And I sent that off though to Steve to get him to do a more his style type of thing. And his style, I think again, his style of artwork is going to work very well for this project.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm kind of courting a couple other artists to jump in on it too with that Von Cobalt 69 type of artwork,
Yeah.
That work, and it's gonna, that Ralph Bakshi type of stuff. But yeah, it's going to be a fun project. I'm going to enjoy the research on this project a lot.
The tax write-offs are going to be weird.
Yeah, except I have to drive to a different state to get the get the material. So that's our two. I guess besides my ongoing, always growing Catacombs and Comedians Empire, or as I call it now, the Catacomediaverse. Those are our two projects kicking off. What else? I mean, are you planning anything else for 2023?
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, I'm still working on my webcomic.
Yeah, you got your webcomic.
There'll be a 3rd volume of the Middle Age, which will come out this year, which just sort of wraps up the big arc. I also did a webcomic ages ago called Astounding Space Thrills, and I've promised people a 2nd edition. The trouble is I've got all these things cooking, whereas you've got Zero Level Media, which feels like, okay, these are all tabletop role-playing games. We talked about this.
Yeah.
Your comics fans being not the same as your RPG fans.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not see I gave everyone who, all the 450 backers of Intoximancy, I sent them links to download PDFs of the graphic novel. I didn't see a big spike in support for it, but I'm interested to see. And I'm downloading it. I'm going to download a spreadsheet of all the people who backed it, and then who had never backed me before. So that's comparing, all the data I had before to the new data. And to say data is sounds like I've got this stuff figured out. I don't. But I'm going to have all at least the email addresses that I've had previously, the new ones that came from Intoximancy, and compare them to the people who backed the 3rd book. Like how many people who backed Intoximancy jumped on board for the 3rd book of the Middle Age. So that'd be curious to see, because then if I think of Intoximancy as a promo, which I did initially as a promo for the middle age, or as an excuse to make the minis for the middle age, then I don't know. It might did it pay off in that regard? But I'm also not doing Intoximancy or the next book because of the middle age now. I mean, it has the middle age logo on it, but
Right.
it is, you know, they got to stand on their own. They have to be something that people dig. And one reader, one supporter of this project has already made the Foundry assets for
Nice.
this. So if you, as soon as they have those available, I'll make those available. He's fine sharing it with the all the backers. So everyone who uses Foundry will be able to import Intoximancy spells right into Foundry. It's crazy. It's crazy that someone did that, but it's beautiful.
Steve, my friend, I see an any in your future.
An Audi, whatever the other.
No, I think you better throw that into when they announce, not open nominations for the Ennies.
Let me know when that happens. I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know anything about this. I'm an outsider. I'm a I don't know.
Let's get award-winning tabletop game designer credit on your resume.
Professional dungeon master and award-winning game and yeah, well, this will be the most premier show ever.
Yeah, we might get 12 viewers.
Sweet.
So let's see. So let's move on to, okay, so last week we had Scriv the Bard as our guest. And it was an absolutely delight to talk to them.
And everyone should go check out the replay of last week's or the last episode, the previous episode, if it's still available.
Yeah, it's not available here on Twitch anymore because I got a 2-week thing. But it is on the Zero Level Media YouTube channel.
Excellent.
Because usually I'm working on so much stuff, it takes me forever to put stuff up on YouTube. But I threw that one up there immediately because there was so much great content, so much great knowledge was dropped in that episode. And again, I want to thank her for joining us. We had a great talk. We learned a lot of stuff. Next week, we're having Owen C.K. Stevens on, who knows OGL and SRDs. Because that dropped. News about that, how Wizards is going to handle the SRD and OGL with this new Dungeon Dragon since we last spoke. And it's, people are freaking out, it's like Rome is burning. That meme with the dog sitting in a fiery room. Everything is fine. Designing tabletop RPGs and utilizing SRDs or OGLs for me is very much a side hustle. It's not my main, the way I make a living. A lot of creators do. And this is what I want to touch on. And then when there's, I don't know, a threat of things changing as far as the legality issues of that revolving around an SRD or an OGL, open gaming license or standard reference document, there's, they tend to freak out. And okay, but here, I'm going to throw this out there. Maybe these creators shouldn't put all their eggs in one basket. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
As far as Dungeons and Dragons go, it is very much Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro's property. And we've discussed how the bean counters want to make sure that they are getting the ultimate dollar value out of it. We saw it happen with 3rd edition. To put a point, blank, the IP, the product itself, the IP kind of got diluted with everything that came out for 3rd edition. Because it's a quality issue. Not everything is great, and by all means, the stuff I create is not, I'm gonna say it is not, Wizards of the Coast quality, because otherwise I'd be working for them, obviously, and it would be my main job, maybe. So I could see them wanting to take more of a control because it's their property. And if they want to redefine how the OGL works, and again, we'll talk to Owen about all this later, and I don't know if I'm making sense at this point, but uh, do these people have a right to complain about what's happening?
Sure, sure. Well, I think
Yeah.
I think so, because Dungeons and Dragons is a community that's big, that predates Hasbro's ownership, Wizards of the Coast ownership. It really was a thing that was like every one of those worlds and homebrews were being done at every, all these kitchen tables and in all these basements forever.
Mhm.
And it's a community of people. It's like Major League Baseball trying to own the concept of baseball. It's not, it is Dungeons and Dragons is kind of like the Xerox of photocopies. People will use those terms interchangeably. Dungeons and Dragons sort of means tabletop role-playing games, right? So I understand that the people who own the brand and own the trademark then they see these $2 million and $7 million Kickstarters, and there's animated series that are happening on Amazon Prime that are based on characters throwing Bigby's hand around, and they're thinking, we didn't get any of that money. I get that they're thinking it's under monetized. People really bristled when that was leaked from, that was a corporate sales call, but you've been in enough of those where you go, these are all forward-looking statements that don't mean anything. You can't, fingers crossed, no takebacks. Don't hold me accountable for anything I say in the following sentence. That sort of nonsense. I feel like I'm under monetized. I don't feel like that's saying too much. It's just saying, I'm under monetized feels like, okay, we can make more money out of this. And of course they want all the money. That's what a corporation wants. But I feel like we have every right to complain. To me, the nutshell for people who missed it, the announcement came out that Wizards is still going to allow open gaming license in the standard reference document with a few caveats. Basically, registration, letting them know it's out there. That seems to be, to me, that's the most technical bit of it. That's saying, just if you're going to do this, let us know. That affects everybody. And then there's other things, which is like if you make more than 50K, there's an issue. Or maybe that's when you have to do the reporting. You have to let them.
If it's more than 750,000, you have to pay royalties.
And at that point, you have to pay royalties. And that's looking at you, Matt Colville, and Critical Role, and all those big shots. And like they said, there's only maybe 20 people who do that. So the idea that that there's only 20 people out there, the argument that this has got to be the same argument that CBS made when they went after the fan film, the big Star Trek fan film that kickstarted for $2 million. So like
Axanar,
okay,
yeah.
Axanar, like you guys, you can't do that. It's okay to make a fan film if you're building the brand, you're building our community, you're doing all this stuff. But at some point you can't make a $2 million project without pissing off people who prioritize money more than fan creation and community creation and all that stuff. To me, the OGL and all these changes and stuff, all of it's going to be secondary to how Critical Role and Dimension 20 and those people react. Because if this is onerous to them, if this is going to cut into the amount of money that Critical Role gives to charity, Critical Role, it's okay, we're just going to do Pathfinder. They did Pathfinder at the start. The first bit of Critical Role was Pathfinder. That's why the Percy character was a gunslinger in 5e, and they had to create their own class to handle Taliesin Jaffe's character. They go back to Pathfinder. There's nothing about Critical Role that says Dungeons and Dragons except community, lowercase d, lowercase d. It really is like, not the trademark, but the ethos, the community. So I don't know. I'm to me, everything that they've announced is exactly how I think we were talking about, how I thought it was going to play out. They're not going to bite the hand. They're not going to anger the community, because right now, with all the community tools, before Twitter burns to the ground, with all the community tools that are available, they don't dare piss off the community, because everyone's like, screw you. You could see how everyone reacted to Jake Parker in Inktober when that whole thing went down. People were like, Inktober suddenly kind of went away. It's still there, but not where it was. Dungeons and Dragons lucked into their current position, and if the people in charge happen to be the ones in the musical chairs when the music stopped, and it could start again, and they could all lose it, and they all might be out of a seat in 6 months. So I don't know. I feel like, yeah, this is all fine. And again, the main thing being that no matter what, as someone who's just dipped their toes into making licensed content and SRD related material, they said as long as the 5e is backwards compatible, asterisk, citation needed, uh, we should be fine. We should be fine. But I do agree with you, your point entirely. After that long, my rambling, I agree with you entirely. I should make this for Old School Essentials. I should make this for Pathfinder. I should make this for every other gaming system that I'm allowed to make it for, because if I put all my eggs in one basket, that's a dumb thing to do.
Yeah, because I mean,
or I should make it for your new project. Your new project.
It would fit very easily. Like, because I mean, like when they did the DM's Guild, and I have published material on both like Drive Through RPG and DM's Guild. Now, DM's Guild, you get like, I don't pay attention to everything, but I think you get 50% of the revenue as opposed to Drive Through, you get 70%. And people complain about Wizards of the Coast takes too much money if they take 50%. Well, you're using their platform. Not only are you using their material, you're using their platform, and it's seen by more eyes, and it's more,
Yeah.
So, I just, I don't know what I think that, and I don't want to make enemies, and I'm probably going to make piss some people off, but there's, nobody's watching this yet, but some of these creators, and again, I'll see somebody post a rant about it, and I'm like, oh, they're like, oh, it's going to ruin my business. And then I looked to see what they put out, and they put out, like, a couple character sheets in a class. It's 3 pages long. Maybe they're a copper seller, and they've got 200 followers. That's not going to ruin. If that's your business, my friend, there's no business there to ruin yet. It's still a hobby for you.
Yeah. I haven't seen anybody. Well, I clearly don't have my finger on the pulse the way you do. But I haven't seen, did these complaints come out after the clarified statement about gaming license, or was it the kind of the tizzy that was happening before that?
More of the tizzy before, but still a number of them afterwards. And because if you want to create your own material and play around your own table, nobody's ever going to take that away from you.
Right.
Period. That is fine. And you could still create stuff and throw it out on the internet and for other people to look at. And, if you want to create free content, nobody's going to stop you from doing that. As long as you're not using, as long as you're not trying to deceive people by making it look like an actual authentic Dungeons and Dragons product, or tied in with other intellectual property. But I think a lot of these creators feel, I don't know, like self-entitled. I'm creating this stuff, and I should be the only one who profits from this, and not everybody, but I should get it's mine. But yes, you're creating it, but you're using their laboratory, their tools, their their workshop.
There's a certain amount of playing in their yard. And that's how, those big IPs, like you go to Comic-Con and there's all these print walls of other people's characters, of lice, you want to make a poster of Superman, you got to approach, Time Warner, Discovery, Raytheon, whatever the huge group is now, and ask them, license the permission to make a Superman poster, or you just go to Artist Alley and print your own.
Mm-hmm.
And if Time Warner, Discovery, Tostitos goes after a person in Artist Alley, suddenly there's an outcry over this big corporation picking on the little guy. Whereas they should be licensing that material, right? That's kind of how trademark and these brands work. Should that work like that? That's a whole thing. And I think that's really what drives people, is a lot of this is, you don't own the place. You can't own the intellectual real estate that I'm occupying right now. This is in my brain. I get to be here. I get to do whatever I want. I get to play this stuff. And how much money am I really making? And are you really going to stop me? And then you're the bad guy. And it is definitely, I'll say entitlement. But I don't know if it's wrong. It's also something, if someone, I've definitely felt that way in my 20s. Oh crap, was I angry? And I'm like, and also like these old institutions don't know garbage, and the stuff they're churning out is, look at Spelljammer, for God's sakes. That's all they have to do is say that. Look at Spelljammer, for God's sakes. And you have, compared to my incredibly perfect thing that I've created, because you're 20.
Yeah.
So I don't know. If it's a real small fish yelling, if it's a baby yelling at a cloud, I haven't seen that meme yet. Young baby yells at cloud. If it's that versus old man yells at cloud, get riled up. That's what Twitter's for.
I mean, personally, I like the OGL being there and the SRD being there. I like some guidelines. I like some rail guards set up for me. I like to rely on that. I mean, if Wizards of the Coast says, just do whatever you want, we're cool with it. It's fine. I don't know if I'd be able to, I don't to create the way I do. I appreciate the guidelines there. And I do not see Wizards of the Coast as an evil empire. I do not see Hasbro as an evil empire. And I speak from experience. I have worked with Hasbro.
Right.
I have been to their main office in Providence, Rhode Island, to have meetings with them regarding another one of their intellectual properties. I have gone, toe to toe with them. We'll just say discussing or debating about what we can and can't do. So when it all comes down to it, I was like, well, you're letting us, yes, we paid to be able to do, when I was an editor for IDW, I don't know why I'm being vague about this. I worked on the Transformers comic book. And yes, IDW paid Hasbro for the license to do Transformers comic books, but that doesn't give us free reign to do whatever we want with Transformers. You have a driver's license, but you still have to go by the speed limits set by the state. Right. That's fine. I had a debate with them because we wanted one of the Transformers, pointing, I think it was Megatron pointing his big cannon gun towards the reader on the cover. Hasbro said no. So we just had to adjust it so you couldn't see down the barrel. No big deal. But we didn't feel offended. We didn't feel, oh, you're ruining the integrity of our art and our creation, because it's theirs to do it. So again, we'll get more, insight on this when we talk to Owen next week. But I think the next Dungeons & Dragons is going to be fine. We're all going to create more stuff for it. We're all, I'm looking forward to slapping instead of the 5e logo, slapping the 1D&D logo or whatever, Yeah,
I mean, if that kind of branding actually helps us sell things, but I do feel like it's an interesting thing that they're doing, because you can't patent game mechanics in the United States.
Right.
The game system can't be patented. So they have basically said, okay, here's the thing we can patent, and here's all the terms you can't use, because these are the trademarks we own. But please put this license if you want to use the SRD. It's this weird kind of patent, because there's no law that says that this is a patent. But if you agree to a license and include the license in your book, you're basically agreeing to a contract. So you're getting people to sign up to this contract. So basically there's no law, but if everyone puts the contract in their book, you're kind of obliged to carry out the letter of the contract.
But the
So
people who put that in their, who signed the contract are doing so because of the recognition of the intellectual property. If I put out, a game that is pretty much Dungeons and Dragons, but don't say, but it's completely on its own. Let's just call it, I don't know, Goblins and Grottos or something.
sure,
I could do that, no problem, and I could use basically all the mechanics.
right. It's
But
just
nobody's going to buy it because I'm not. Let's just say more people will be interested in it if I've got the connection to the Dungeons and Dragons.
right. If you're using all the same, the stats, the language they are familiar with, and all that stuff. Yeah.
That's what you're agreeing to do with the SRD and the OGL, and that is completely fine. And if people get upset about how they feel constricted by that, I think they might need to find another creative outlet.
I will. The one thing I will say about the new thing and that logo that you have to put on, to me, it all depends on the logo. If it's a garbage logo, I'm going to hate it. And if it's a good logo, I'll be completely fine with it. And if I can put it on the back cover, like a UPC code, like a barcode, fine. But if they make me mess up my lovely covers with a garbage logo, I'll be very upset, and I'll have to give Pathfinder a look.
But yeah, I think there are workarounds and stuff. I think we'll be fine, is what I
We'll
think.
be fine.
And
We'll be fine.
Owen will reassure us of this.
And Wizards doesn't care about us.
No.
Well, they'll care about you, but not me though. I'm a nothing. I'm a nothing.
I'm a nothing. No, they won't care about me. Though I did add a new tagline for Catacombs and Comedians I came up with, and I wish I did it originally. Catacombs Comedians making a joke of the world's greatest role-playing game.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect.
So speaking of Catacombs and Comedians, next show is in Nashville at Zany's, January 24th. And then we also, I believe in Huntsville, there's a date in February, early February, which I just don't have. I'm not exactly positive. I think the ink hasn't dried on it yet. So, but yeah, so I've already got the 2 first live shows planned for 2023. I'm hoping this is going to be a big year for Catacombs and Comedians, because January 4th, this Wednesday, is we're launching here on this channel the Twitch actual play live stream of Catacombs and Comedians Wrath of the Aristocrats.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So a lot of Catacombs, the Catacomediaverse, as I call it now, is huge. I've got the first newsletter went out, but I don't see your name on there unless you use a fake email address.
How do I get on this?
I'd go to catacombsandcomedians.com. There's a link right there.
Let's also add that to the when you send out your survey later today.
Yeah.
You want to be added to this list. I include that in every one of my surveys. It's super important.
So the first one went out, and yeah, I spent all day working on this newsletter, and it's a nice little fun thing, and I'm looking forward to doing more newsletters, and all the Catacombs Comedians stuff will be in there. The Catacombs and Comedians Crier, because I got to keep with that alliteration. And so it'll announce every upcoming show. I think I do a little plug for one of the comics for one of his upcoming shows. And then I also mention Deep Delve Pizza Company, or Pizza Co., because that's the Catacombs and Comedians game that I run for non-comedians, just for anybody who wants to come, though seating is limited. There's a local game shop called the Gamekeep here, and we play in the back room every other Friday night. And it's a hopping place. I mean, they've got tons of tables, and there's all sorts of stuff going on. So I've done 3 of these get-togethers now so far.
Wow.
And it's already established a regular set of players are already showing up. The same group is showing up every other Friday. We've had new players every Friday night, and it's been a lot of fun. And it's most of the time, because I don't know who's going to show up or how many, if we're going to have the full amount of people. So I always kid about how I sit down at the table and go, I've got nothing planned. But yeah, we end up having a good solid 2-hour game. and it's all fun and everything works out, and it's somehow I want to tie it all into the Catacomedia verse, and it's all going to come together. And um, Wizards will be asking to use my intellectual property
Uh-huh.
with
That's
eventually
excellent.
with the foul bores and the dire trash pandas and side splitters and and
And
so
you'll be able to test out your new system there too, right?
um no, because this is Catacombs of Comedians, you know. I'm keeping it because it has nothing. It's not good. It's not a D20. It's not Dungeons and Dragons. This is its own.
Gotcha. So Catacombs and Comedians is specifically a D20 system. It's not going to be any other RPGs. You're not
Nope,
going to ever do a Marvel.
nope.
Uh, all right.
Well, because we did in Huntsville. I sat back and I played as a player for the first time, and one of the other players was the dungeon master, and we did Dungeons and Dragons, but we set it in Star Trek, and it was very very clever because he made us, okay, to make your character, and I made a Klingon security officer who was basically just a barbarian.
Excellent.
Um, and then I poured so much detail in this because I wanted to, show off my not only my D&D playing as opposed to DMing, but of my Star Trek knowledge. Because for those of you who don't know, well, Steve and I worked on the Star Trek comic books for IDW back in the day, and I was all set, and I was sitting at the table, and the DM was over there, and because he did a classic Star Trek move where all our minds got switched with our bodies, so we had to turn our character sheets over to the other players, and so we all ended up playing somebody else's character.
Excellent.
And I killed. I'm not to pat myself on the back, but Steve, I don't know if you know this, but I'm a funny guy. It was a fun show, great show. The pressure for me not having a DM was amazing. I mean, I didn't care. I just had a good time. It was fun. The audience loved the show. It was really a lot of fun. So yeah, I mean, while it was Star Trek, we just played D&D for the
Right.
most part. We used the mechanics, and it all worked out well. But yeah, this whole other thing it's the whole other system. It's completely different. I'll share those mechanics with you shortly. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, what else we got?
Well, I saw. Well, we there's a hashtag event starting today. I don't know if everyone's aware of it. There's a thing called hashtag Dungeon 23.
Yeah.
I looked into it a little bit. It looks like people are going to create a dungeon room a day for the entire year, and then break it down so that each week will be a floor,
A level, yeah.
level, and then so if there'll be 52 levels in this mega dungeon, and people aren't always going to do dungeons, they're not going to follow that same exact format, but they're going to it could be a sprawling, megalopolis. It's a cute idea. I like. I mean, people like the kind of structure. I'm assuming people like it as a way to. I'm sure there's some marketing people who are going to be like, "Oh, I shall use this to promote myself and my brand," and it's fine. I mean, to me, it's more like if it gets people off the sidelines. I love that about it, because if it's people who aren't creating, they just need the structure to create. Because there's a famous cartoonist. Joe Maneely, Lou Fine, somebody like that, who would just stare at a blank sheet until some other artist came down and drew a line on it, and then he'd be like, "Okay, I got everything I need." It's like I feel like some people just need that structure and this little nudge, and if that nudge gets people off the sidelines, creating cool stuff, and maybe getting the accolades that will feed them emotionally to keep them going. I love that. I love that.
Because I saw that, and I'm gonna, I went out and I even got a specific. Well, look, I'm ready for 2023 because I'm buying all sorts of journals and
That's amazing.
and planners and notebooks and stuff. Because I want to get organized this year. God damn it! I'm gonna get my shit together, so to speak. So yeah, I found a nice little. It's got a dot graph pages, and it opens. It was an expensive book, but I got it where I work, so it didn't cost me much. and you can just open it up to anything. So I'll be able to take nice little pictures of it, and I'm just going to do it all in that journal.
Nice.
And am I going to do it every day? No, but I think what I'm planning on using, because I like to get up early in the morning, for the rest of the family does, and I often sit here and I just scroll through Twitter, scroll through Facebook, waiting for inspiration to hit. Well, what if I just open up this notebook, this journal, and just draw a little room, and okay, and just to get the creative juices flowing.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that's what I'm going to utilize it for. And then, of course, take a picture of it and put it up on all my social medias for, hopefully people start following it because of the hashtag Dungeon 23. But that's the plan. Will I do it every day? No. Will I do 7 a day? I'm thinking maybe 5 a week. Because again, I'm not being paid for this. I'm not being forced for this. It's not a promise to any backers for any sort of
Right.
crowdsourcing type of thing. So just use it as best as I can um, with it. So that's the goal there.
That's great. That's great. It'd be interesting to see come October when people start doing Kickstarters to collect their Dungeon 23s for next year. Like put them all into a single book or something like that. That's it's awesome. It's awesome. Maybe next year's Zine Quest is going to be packed with the past year's Dungeon 23 projects.
Probably, but that's more of a book than a zine. But anyway,
And then it'll be like 52 pages
for a level. Well, I think. I mean, I guess it all depends on what you do. Are you just drawing a map, or are you doing notes for the room, and you doing?
I don't know.
Putting in the monsters? Are you?
I'd be real tempted, but then sometimes it feels like a little bit like cheating because my drawings would be a little better than average. You know what I mean?
Eye roll.
I wouldn't help. I would belabor it. And it would be one of those things where it's like, every once in a while having being able to draw is a cheat. And sometimes when it really, I think this is all about the idea, and if it could be a pretty, I saw this on the Reddit homebrew. If you like a nice piece of artwork, even if the magic item is the stats are garbage, gets a lot more upvotes because the artwork was nice. People just click. And so I feel like that's I feel like that I'd really like to see someone who's come up with a dungeon that, because after a while, 52 level dungeons is going to be too much. What are you going to do with these? You're going to run players through that? So the purpose of what it's for and what, do you prune it? Do you say, okay, I'm going to create 365 rooms. I'm going to take the best 50 and turn them into something.
I think that's a good way to do it.
Yeah. And then do you want to design them in a plug and play way so they're kind of like puzzle pieces, or you could pick one up and pop it into that hallway and pop it into that hallway?
Yeah, because the way I'm looking at it, I don't see myself designing, this is room 1, and then the next day doing room 2. I don't think I'm going to go lateral or, from point A to B to C to D. I think, I've got an idea for the antechamber of this one. Okay, next I'll do a crypt. Okay, now I'm going to do this. So I'm just going to jump around, and then maybe at the end, I'll go, okay, now how do these all fit together?
Right. That's fun. I like it. I can't wait to see what people do. I'll definitely be following the hashtag.
So, but again, my plate's so full. But anyway, again, I'm not going to use this to interfere with what I've already got on. Again, I'm just hoping to utilize, if I put it a half hour to an hour a morning, 5 days a week as opposed to 7,
right.
Just, or before I go to bed, turn my mind off, and I was able to buy a cool notebook at half price. So
does one of them match the color of the wall behind you? Because it's almost like it vanished at one point. Okay, there it is.
Yeah. I like orange. It's my brand.
Nice.
All right. What else do we got other than that?
Well, I did see that we talked about this a little bit. We talked about AI art. I saw Kickstarter. We talked about last year. The Kickstarter is basically there was an AI art project which they removed, and they basically are prioritizing. They put an ethical statement out, not so much here's our new enforcement strategy. It was much more, here's a philosophically pro artist, anti AI statement that they made. So I don't know if fellow creators of TTRPG content, if you're using AI artwork and you're thinking about using it for your Kickstarter, I wouldn't bet all my money on that. It might be in a few months that that sort of thing gets policed and is removed because of the ethical considerations of, or the unethical way that those AI systems cobble together images from stolen artwork.
Um, yeah, I mean, I remember when AI first came out, I was like thinking, okay, maybe I'll play around with it and use it for art. But then, A, the learning curve to just get the image you want done right, perfect, is too hard. And
Right.
B, they don't know how to do hands yet, apparently, in any of this artwork. Everybody's hands look really like flippers or seven fingers.
I did say, I was telling that to other artists, I felt so good that even computers have trouble drawing hands. I, I find that very reassuring.
um, but yeah, I don't really ever see myself utilizing it. I mean, when I do like that image that you were talking about that I sent you earlier, I purchased the license to be able to manipulate it the way I wanted to manipulate it.
Right.
So I think that is what
Yeah, and that way an artist was compensated for their effort. Or if it's a Creative Commons Zero thing over on Pixabay or something like that, where people upload it, say, do what you want with it, you don't have to give me any credit.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, you're still not stepping on the rights of a creator.
Right.
So yeah, I think that icon illustration is gorgeous. I can't wait to have it as a button and a sticker and a
Oh, because you know me.
uh-huh.
I like the brand.
Did you get any good gaming stuff for the holidays? Any
I did. I got a big old I got like 4 or 5 D&D titles that
oh wow.
I feel I plugged some holes in my that I didn't have. I don't know, I mean, some of them are a couple years old, but I just never got them. So I got a great gaming bag. I mean, because you call me professional dungeon master all the time. I mean, it holds books uh, in my DMs, my wood DM screen and dice and everything. So it's real. I look like a badass DM when I walk into a room with it.
That's awesome.
So that's cool. But yeah, I got a couple other RPGs that yeah, because I just let people, here are the books I want on my Amazon wish list. So
Nice.
My wife went crazy on that and got me a bunch of that. But that's about it for gaming stuff. How about you? How'd you fare?
I got some art supplies. The last gaming stuff I got was my birthday back in August. I got some dice that have like little rubber ducks inside the acrylic.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I needed. That was the only thing I ever needed was those dice. No, but the getting the shipment of books for Christmas is what I wanted, and I got that. That's exactly what I wanted for Christmas. I did find that I had to mail them more expensively than I thought. They just wouldn't fit in the envelopes I bought. They weigh too much to go first class. Normally, a lot of zines go into a little paper envelope and they get mailed and they're floppy. And this is just too thick, and I want to ship it in a sturdy envelope. So it has to be parcel mail. It can't be first class mail. It's a whole thing's a pain in the tuchus. It's going to cost me. I wanted to save money, but it's everything. Every step of the way has cost me more money. So
yeah, I think that's another reason why I'm just going to use like drive-through RPG to, anyone who buys a physical product from here on out on any sort of thing that I run, I was like, okay, great. Here's your coupon to
perfect.
Get it for free. Yeah.
And I did make this available on drive-through RPG, and I did have a few sales. I keep getting a trickle of sales every once in a while for the PDF. So I appreciate you turning me on to that.
No, I think because it's a great product, and I can't wait to get my physical copy. And speaking of Intoximancy, and what was purchased or what was gained from Christmas and the holiday season, I did get myself a little Christmas present that I'm looking forward to using my Intoximancy STL files for.
Oh wow! Oh right, I saw something about that. Go on.
I bought myself a printer.
Go on.
A 3D resin printer. So maybe I'll be a miniature guy from here on. It'll be a lot less theater of the mind games.
So tell me about how did you pick the 3D printer? I guess as a total novice, I know a little bit about the filament printers, but as far as the resin,
I know nothing either, but I did my research. I went with the Mars 3 Pro because apparently it's a very this printer's there's a lot of information out there on how to use it, so it's very beginner friendly.
Okay,
So they say. I don't have it yet. I've ordered it.
I see.
I think it's going to show up tomorrow.
Ooh,
I don't know what everybody. I've heard that's a hard learning curve, but I see enough people do stuff with it that I think let's just put this. I know somebody who has one, and if they can do it, I can do it. Is what I'm saying. So,
I love it.
so you're the STL files that I got from supporting your miniature campaign will be one of the first things that I run off.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I can't wait to. Boy, start with the dragon, the baby dragon. I'm trying to think of the one that is less likely to cause problems because all the other ones have all these little fiddly bits, and I would be terrified. Or print it larger. I'm going to be so envious of your of that. The idea that you could just print those things off. I live in an apartment. I just don't have the ventilation for resin printer.
Yeah, mine's good. I'm gonna keep mine out in the garage. You know, I got work. I got to clear off my workbench and get space for it, and that way no UV light will interfere with it either. So if it's in the dark garage, and so yeah, we'll see how that goes. Again, I know enough people that have it. Really, I want those files in when you get them ready. As far as what kind of resin, I don't know what. I don't know. That's questions beyond me right now. At that point, I ordered what they recommended for the printer. So
that's wonderful.
So yeah, so I'm looking forward to playing with that in the coming year, and then how far can Catacombs and Comedians Miniatures be far away? Who knows? So who knows?
But the 4th is the debut of the Catacombs and Comedians live stream.
Yeah. Well, we did a 0 episode a couple months ago. Yeah, again, for that, I got the Inigu Mars 3 Pro. So we'll see how it goes. And so we're the first adventure will be, and it'll be very similar to the first adventures for both of the live shows at the Huntsville and Nashville. I kind of got a thing going. They have already came up with a group name. The 4 Sevens, I think, are what they're called. They're calling themselves. That's their adventuring team name, their party group. And after I'm done talking with you, I got to tinker with the Kickstarter, the Oddity off print a little bit, and then I've got to work on my next trading card, monster trading card, because I want to keep adding more to these.
That's awesome.
For the next show. So I've got a new monster that'll be debuting at the new show in Nashville with a new trading card. I got today off. I got tomorrow off to work on this stuff. Tuesday is my daughter's 7th birthday. So we're going to go to Build-A-Bear and Claire's and Rainforest Cafe, like any 7-year-old girl loves to do. And then the stream on Wednesday night, and then get ready for the first live show the 24th in January for Nashville.
That's excellent. That is excellent. And then, so you've already submitted your Zine Quest project to Kickstarter, so that page could go live at any time. Now that I've signed up for the mailing list, I did that while we're talking, catacombsandcomedians.com. You'll send out a note saying, hey, this page is up there.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
But we'll see. I slapped it together real quick yesterday because I remember you and I talking about it because I didn't do the full title because I remember you said just throw a short title up there. So it's called High Fantasy.
You're a genius.
So that's all it is.
You're a genius.
I don't know. I'm not a genius. But let's just say when I do the science fiction version, that'll be called high sci-fi.
Excellent.
So, but yeah, so I slapped together a quick little image using that icon, and I've got the logo for the system. Put that up there. Kind of threw some words. I got 2 tier levels. I just threw up there. It's very simple. I mean, I'm sure nobody from Kickstarter who judges these things is watching, but I just hope it's enough for them to go, okay, that looks good enough, move on,
Right, right. I created tier graphics that I threw out. I mean, I did want to get the stuff as close to accurate as possible, but I also didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And like we talked about, I launched mine half a month into Zine Quest, and by that time that stat document showed up, and that gave me a whole lot and talking with you, it gave me so much more information that I'm like, oh, I'm changing the price of everything, I'm redoing everything. And so I feel like between now and then, that's the having that placeholder page is great. Do you have an idea of when you will launch, or are you going to be? I would tend to think that setting up when this project has 20 followers, that's when I'll launch. I don't need this launch on day one of Zine Quest. I know you might be champing at the bit to launch. I want to go live. I want to go live.
Right now it's scheduled to go at a certain time of the day.
Of course it is.
on February 1st, but I don't need to stick to that. I can change that.
Right, because we saw that there was a flood of projects that started on the 1st, and you kind of get lost in that deluge.
Right. And then I have it ending on the 28th of February at a certain time of the day.
Perfect.
So I don't know if it'll launch on the 1st, but and I didn't go through the link to set it up, so I've got to talk to them before to make sure I get the Zine Quest tag on it.
Right.
Because they automatically add that link if you go, or add that tag if you go through that link.
Really?
I found out afterwards. Yes. I found afterwards. But I got 2 tiers, and they're both $5 and $10 because I wanted to name those tiers specific things to deal with that denomination. So
you're a genius. You're a genius, man.
And but
what about add-ons? What about, like, are you gonna get the oddity off print? Do you gotta have, like, the $25 tier where it's like the Dan Taylor cinematic universe where you get
I don't because I don't know if I want to confuse people by crossing the streams of the two things. I think I do I mean, yes, it would be good. I mean, I will use Catacombs and Comedians to promote this new project, but I don't know if I will add Catacombs and Comedians products to entice people to this new project, because it's very much its own separate project. It's a
sure.
And I think I sent the goal level at a certain number amount.
You're excellent.
So it's got a low,
Sure.
I'm not asking for a bunch of money on this one. But it's been fun to work on, and it's been fun to come up with the stuff for this, and me and puns, and it's very much like you're in Toximancy. So yeah, so it's just, we'll see how it goes. But I just wanted to get that up because I want to be able to have to direct people to that.
Sure.
As ASAP. That's the only reason I did it last night, because I was.
Are you going to do a video?
I don't know.
Okay.
I really don't know.
I could talk to you about this all day. If you got to go, I mean, I know we're a little over time now.
No, we're fine because I have no football game. We played on Thursday night and we lost.
All right. All right.
God, we've lost 7 in a row. I can't believe, but we're still in contention. To make
That's why you're not wearing the hat.
Yeah, we're still in contention to make the playoffs. We play the Jaguars next Sunday, and if that's winner go home. If we win, we're in the playoffs. If Jaguars win, they're in the playoffs. So, but my lovely wife, did give me season. I have season tickets now to the Tennessee Titans football. So yeah. So I mean, I had a ticket plan this year, but it wasn't season tickets. But I went to every game because of the plan. They were cheap tickets, but I was way up in the nosebleed seats. But now I got decent seats. I'm a season ticket holder. I'm a homeowner. I bought a new truck.
You have a 3D printer?
Yeah, life's looking good for Dan Taylor.
Yeah, this is your year.
So
and all I got is acrylic dice with ducks in them.
Stick with me, kid. You'll go places.
Yeah, I'm hitching my wagon.
All right. Well, I think that settles up everything for this week.
Let's talk about next week again. Next week we're gonna have
Owen K.C. Stevens. Now he's done a lot of Pathfinder stuff and worked on all sorts of systems throughout. He's a Pro. He was recently on a friend of mine, Mike Lafferty's podcast, the BAMF podcast, talking about the OSR and the SRD. So I'm going to take a listen to that to see what questions were asked and, get clarification on some and, find out. I mean, Mike's a great interviewer, so I'm sure he's covered everything. But yeah, we'll be talking to him about how the SRD and the OGL will affect yours and my future as far as D&D creation.
That's awesome.
Hopefully we'll be able to talk more about each of our new Kickstarters, our Zine Quest Kickstarters next week.
Your landing, your coming soon page will probably be up by then.
Fingers crossed that they buy that thing I slapped together, just because because all I needed was that all you're going to see is just from the landing page, you just see the summary and the one picture, right? Yeah. So that's, I think I cover everything, and just the topic of this project I think is enough that'll do rather okay.
I think so.
And
plus the idea of delivering the PDF because I do think you're going to find that there are going to be, your audience from Catacombs and Comedians, the Oddity Off Print, those folks will be interested in the new thing.
Oh yeah.
So being able to send out the PDF and say, oh, by the way, this is live, you're going to have people go check it out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Because Zero Level Media can cross promote its products. No problem there. So, I just don't know if I will include like Oddity Off Print in as a, a reward in this thing. Because there's enough things I can do. I come up with, like you said, I've already got the sticker and button design.
Right.
I got to send you the new version. I tweaked a little bit, see if you still appreciate it. But yeah, I think
this is gonna be a good year.
We're gonna crank. Yeah, because look at us. We are out the gate January 1st, while everybody else is hung over.
And you're 10 years sober. That's how.
Yeah.
That's how. And I've had nothing but dairy.
Well. So, but yeah, I want to take Catacombs and Comedians starting tomorrow. I'm going to start talking, contacting various conventions like Gamehole and stuff like that, saying, "Hey, let me bring the show there. Let's do this."
I'm going to look up these Emmy awards you speak of.
Oh, you have no idea what the Emmy awards are?
I've heard of them. I don't know how. I don't know how legit they are. Is it like
they're very legit?
JD Power and Associate?
No, they are the Academy Awards Oscar equivalent, the Emmy equivalent.
Okay, I definitely don't deserve one if I don't know what it is.
But they also, the cool thing about any awards is they have first and second place. So
I will strive for second place.
Yeah, that's all you got to be. Mm-hmm. Second place is worth,
Yeah, look at like the podcast. I'm happy to be second place.
Yeah, well, that's just because I'm always first because
you have the truck and
I set it up.
The 3D printer.
Yeah.
The season tickets.
Don't forget homeowner. All right, enough humble bragging. I will talk to you next Sunday morning.
I'm very excited.
Yeah. And I think we're going to kick 23's ass.
Yeah, 23 doesn't know what's coming.
Nope, not at all.
I almost feel bad for 23. I feel a little bad for 23. A
little bad. It's going to be 23 is going to be our bitch.
Yeah, I'll cuddle 23 when it's over.
Okay, now we're getting weird.
Spooning in January 1st of 2024.
Okay, now we're getting weird. I'm going to sign off. Goodbye, Steve.
All right, man.
See ya.